All rise. Oh yay, oh yay, oh yay. The Court of Appeals for the 4th Judicial Appellate District is now open pursuant to call.
Good afternoon. Please be seated. And thanks to everyone here in the courtroom, to the family of Mr. Taylor Scott Boone, and to our audience that is now joining us virtually as we live stream our court memorial service scheduled for today. Today, we honor the life and work of Mr. Taylor Scott Boone. And thank you, Mike Cruz, our clerk of court, for opening this up. And at this time, I'd like to introduce the members of the court. To my far right is Justice Lisa Rodriguez. To my immediate right is Justice Irene Rios. And to my left is Justice Beth Watkins. The families members attending today, who I'll recognize now, is Mrs. Allison Boone, daughter Catherine I'm going to slaughter this, forgive me, Catherine de Marigny, de Mary, and her husband William. Daughter Virginia Boone will be watching via the live stream, so welcome Virginia from Crested View, Colorado. Stay warm. At this time, I would like to invite remarks from Mr. David Stanish at this time, designated to speak on behalf of the family. Mr. Stanish, you may approach. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Justice Martinez, and all the honorable justices of this court for today honoring my friend, mentor, and esteemed colleague, Taylor Boone. So thank y'all so much. I also express extreme gratitude to Allison, Taylor's wife, for allowing me to speak today, as well as to Catherine and Virginia, Taylor's daughters, Taylor's son-in-law, William, Taylor's grandsons, Taylor, Andrew, James, and Brody, for letting me share my life with their dad and grandfather. I thank all of you in attendance here as well as all those watching through the court's video feed. It is difficult to even know where to begin in the time I've been graciously given by the court to give you a glimpse of what a great lawyer Taylor was, but more importantly, what a great person he was. I will start with the obvious. Taylor was born on December 27th, 1948, and died on September 15th, 2021 at the age of 72. Taylor received his BBA from the University of Texas at Austin and his law degree from St. Mary's School of Law, where he was editor-in-chief of the Law Review. Taylor went even further in his academic studies and in deepening his faith when he earned a Master's of Divinity from the Perkins School of Theology at Southern Methodist University. In addition to being an attorney, Taylor was also a CPA, and he used his accounting background extensively in his practice of the law. Taylor's expertise was in estate planning and probate law, and he was board certified by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization in estate planning and probate law, as well as being a fellow in the American College of Trust and Estate Counsel. Taylor began his legal career at Oppenheimer, Rosenberg, Kelleher, and Wheatley, which over the years changed names to Oppenheimer, Blinn, Harrison, and Tate. We then merged into Strasburger and Price, and then finally ended up at Clark Hill. I had interned at Oppenheimer in the summer of 1986, but did not have an opportunity to work with him. In fact, it was quite happenstance or the work of God that I came to work for Taylor. I had been hired by Oppenheimer to work full-time to start in the fall of '87 in the corporate department. However, for those of us old enough to remember 1986, we remember that it was the start of the savings and loan crisis in Texas and elsewhere. As a result, I met with David Oppenheimer, Stanley Blinn, and Taylor for lunch in the summer of 1987. And because there was little corporate work for me to do, Taylor thought with my accounting and tax background, he would at least give me a try in the estate planning department. Thus started a 34-year mentorship and friendship. Taylor was a great mentor, but he was no easy taskmaster, that's for sure. He was a brilliant tax lawyer who was always thinking outside of the box and expected you to do the same. He pioneered the use of dynasty generation skipping trust, allowing the beneficiary to become his or her trustee at a certain age, such that it was second nature to those of us who he mentored and practiced with to think everyone should have such a trust. Taylor's modus operandi was to give me as many drafting projects as possible, because through drafting, you learned why a clause was in the document. Taylor was patient most of the time in explaining why there were so many red marks on each document he reviewed and returned to me. I think sometimes his training as being editor-in-chief of the Law Review, old Law Review habits die hard. You got to give some remarks back to whoever you're editing. But more importantly, Taylor believed that being a lawyer was more than legal work. He believed in sharing his expertise with both the legal and accounting communities through oral presentations and written articles. I do not know if he really required this of me, but it was certainly my impression that he expected me to also give or prepare at least one CLE presentation a year. In retrospect, while the prospect of speaking before our peers can be very, very frightening, Taylor believed this was part of our training, especially as transactional attorneys, to help us think on our feet. Taylor very strongly believed in, and really the Oppenheimer firm in general, that one of his primary functions as a lawyer was to give back to the community, not just the legal or accounting community, but the entire community, and especially to those who a lot of the time the legal community underserves. I was strongly encouraged by Taylor to volunteer in our community, and Taylor would sit down with me and channel me in a way such that I would develop an interest and passion in what I was doing. At the beginning of my career, Taylor was working with the United Way of San Antonio and Bexar County to approve its fund allocation process. As a result, I volunteered on one of his allocation committees for senior services for many years and learned firsthand the plight of a lot of our elderly in our community. Taylor was not an ordained Methodist minister when I met him. Mid-career, the Lord called Taylor to be both a minister and a lawyer. I would think to myself that Taylor is either Superman or crazy, as I could not see how one man could not only handle the demands of a legal practice, but also the demands of being in full-time ministry. However, just as so many things with Taylor, this calling proved to be symbiotic, and that Taylor truly became a counselor, both legally and spiritually, to so many people and families, and most, if not all, thought of Taylor as their trusted family friend. Taylor's obituary mentioned all the many ways Taylor gave back, and it is truly astonishing in both breadth and scope. They range from his work at Travis Park Church and Corazon Ministry, where his ministry concentrated on helping the homeless, to serving the United Methodist Church in mentoring and guiding new and prospective pastors, to Clarity Child Guidance Center, where he showed me the work he was doing for children and families in crisis, and most importantly, his pride and joy to his work with Methodist Healthcare Ministries and Methodist Healthcare Systems, where he sought to keep Christ and serving the indigent in our healthcare system. While these are extremely notable accomplishments, I cherish the little things that Taylor did and which most people did not see. Often, we would go on walkabouts to lunch somewhere, either downtown when our offices were in downtown, or around the Pearl when our offices moved to the Buttercrust Bakery building. And we would stop and talk with different homeless people we met on the streets, many of whom Taylor knew personally, where Taylor would always treat each of them as he treated everyone, that is, with dignity and respect. Taylor prayed for each person in our office every day by name. And I would just always think, who cannot use a little prayer of encouragement every day? I think sometimes it got us through our days. When a crisis struck somewhere in our office, Taylor would lead the way with a prayer service or donating help. Taylor did a significant amount of pro bono legal and other work for which he never took any public credit. Taylor's legal acumen cannot be overrated, and how he combined his empathy from being a minister to guiding families through the legal process. He crafted very complex plans for his clients that he always meticulously documented in these large 3-ring binders that not only included the pertinent legal documents, but had notes that gave an understanding that each person and family he counseled was truly unique, with each having their own special circumstances. These binders were also useful for another thing. In this digital age, when our computers go down, what do most of us do? We just stop working. However, we could always rely on these 3-ring binders when technology failed us, because we could resort to the old-fashioned practice of reading from the printed page. Taylor loved his family, and while the law was important to Taylor, his family was more important. He often stressed to us that worked him in the law, and he also stressed this to those for us that worked with him in the law. He was very proud of Allison and grateful that she was his life partner. We often spoke of his daughters and how much he loved them and enjoyed them. We could trade good stories that also have daughters. But what was the most enjoyable was seeing how Taylor loved his 4 grandsons and being silly with them. We would often hear of wrestling matches, and we loved when they came to the office and visited, because you could just see just how much they enjoyed their grandfather. All of Taylor's many accomplishments noted previously very well could give you the impression that Taylor was so driven, he was not able to enjoy life. That is far from the truth. He had a great and sometimes corny, dry sense of humor, had an infectious laugh, and had these different office sayings that were just unique to Taylor. He had that special touch where he could make whoever he was talking to feel special and heard. I would have lunch sometimes with him just to discuss life, the scriptures, and many other things. And to this day, I still think today I'm going to ask him for some guidance, but realize he has gone to us in this life. At the office, his door was always open to ask him questions, and I and many others would do this to get his take on a complicated estate planning, on a strategy for an IRS audit, to have him look at our documents. The list could go on and on. In closing, however, Allison came up with a motto that helps us remember Taylor for what he generally gave us both personally and professionally every day. When we do something, we first ask ourselves the question, what would Taylor do? Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Please do. Thank you.
It's beautiful.
One of the distinctive honors that I have in serving this court is the opportunity to continue the tradition that was started by Chief Justice Cadena, a gentleman who this building, in fact, is named after. This is the Justice Cadena Reeves building. He installed the monthly tradition of this court celebrating these court memorials in conjunction with the San Antonio Bar Association to again celebrate the lives of those colleagues and friends who we've lost in that current year. And again, it is our distinct pleasure. And I would be remiss to not share the humble regrets of members of this court who are not present today. Those include Justice Patricia Alvarez, Justice Lori Valenzuela, and Justice Luz Elena Chapa. Justice Chapa has asked Justice Rios to share a few comments on her behalf, and I'll invite her to do that now.
Good afternoon. It's a real honor to be here with you, honoring Taylor. Justice Chapa has asked me to relay her most heartfelt condolences to all of you. And she sends her regrets for not being here today to celebrate the life and memory of Taylor. She is currently at her eldest child's school for senior recognition. So if she didn't have that important conflict, she would be here. Justice Chapa had the privilege of serving with Taylor on the board of Clarity Child Guidance Center for many years. A few words from Justice Chapa. Dearest Allison and family, I am grateful for the honor and opportunity to have served with Taylor on Clarity's board. His leadership was steadfast, and his mental health advocacy on behalf of our community's children touched the lives of thousands. We all miss him and his prayers, his wisdom, and genuine desire to serve for the benefit of others. He would be proud of the board's current efforts to expand services. Clarity stands on strong footing because of Taylor's leadership and the mark he left. Thank you for sharing Taylor with us. We are better servants because of Taylor. God bless you, and please know Taylor's memory will forever remain with clarity. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Rios. I understand Justice Watkins would also like to share a few words.
I do. Thank you, Chief. On behalf of my family and especially my parents, Phil and Shirley Watkins, we share in your loss, and thank you for sharing Taylor and for this time today with us. Taylor created the 501c3 organizations for Corazon Ministries that are so near and dear to both of my parents' hearts. And he taught Bible study for 10 years. He was loved and respected by everyone, housed or unhoused, those with every human comfort and those with every possession in a backpack. To Virginia online and to Allison and Catherine here in this room, please know how much my parents love you and we all think about you. You have weathered every storm, especially in this past year, with such tremendous strength and grace and hope. We are all better to have known Taylor, and his legacy endures. We hold him in our hearts, just as we hold you in our hearts. And thank you for sharing this space with us today.
For the benefit of Virginia and others, friends and family and colleagues who are on live stream, I just would like to at least identify the other members of his family and friends, because you've got more than one row here, but I've only acknowledged the immediate family. So if someone wishes to identify the rest of the members in the courtroom for posterity. This legal family. Very good.
And my name is Mo Ship, and I had the honor of working with Taylor beginning in 2019 when I joined Park Hill, but also enjoyed getting to see him, know him at the Little League fields, watching his grandkids play baseball along with my kids. So it's an honor to be here celebrating.
Thank you.
I'm Christine Evans. I started my legal career back in 2014 working under Taylor. I was so very grateful for the time that I mentored by him. Sorry. And shared with him. It's so special to me. And it's been just, I can't know. Bring us all energy. He's such a wonderful person. I'm Laura. They said I had the pleasure of working with Taylor for almost 20 years. Got me started. That's a great mentor and friend. You all are in the thought plans and
Well, I thank you and each and every individual in this courtroom. It is clear that the impact of this gentleman's life has made not just on his work family, outside of his own family. One of the most inspiring things that I think that the impact of these memorials have on me, and I think it's shared by every member of the court, is that it helps us to inspire what is the most meaningful contribution that as a member of the state bar that we can have, is not only to embrace and take pride in the love and warmth of our own families, but also the impact that we can have on those that we surround ourselves. If we're wise, that we bring in people who are smarter than us, clearly. I think that is what benefited him, but also of the legacy that you will continue under his shadow. So thank you very much. At this time also, the court memorials, as I mentioned earlier, have been a joint effort with the San Antonio Bar Association. And I'll invite the president of our San Antonio Bar Association, currently Donna McElroy, to present a resolution for the courts. It does.
Memorial resolution on the death of Taylor Scott Boone on behalf of the San Antonio Bar Association. Whereas Taylor Scott Boone, born December 27th, 1948 in San Antonio, passed away on September 15th, 2021. And whereas Mr. Boone received his BBA from the University of Texas at Austin and his JD from St. Mary's University Law School, he received his master's in divinity degree from Perkins School of Theology at Southern Methodist University. And whereas Mr. Boone was a dedicated estate planning attorney and earned board certification in the specialty. In 2008, he was ordained a deacon in the United States Methodist Church, and he served at Travis Park Church. His proudest accomplishments are the Methodist Healthcare Ministries and Methodist Healthcare System. As the chief architect of the partnership that created these entities, he is known as the founding father of the Methodist healthcare family in South Texas. And whereas Mr. Boone was a member of the San Antonio Bar Association and the American College of Trust and Estate Council. Following his retirement, he served the United States Methodist Church on district and conference levels. Mr. Boone also served on the boards of the American Diabetes Association, Hospice San Antonio, Interfaith Alliance, and Clarity Child Guidance Center. And whereas Mr. Boone is survived by his wife, Allison Wenger Boone, daughters Catherine DeMarney and her husband William, Virginia Hewlett and her husband Alex, 4 grandsons, Taylor, Andrew, James, and Brody, his sisters-in-law Susan Pate, Valerie Wenger, and Charlotte Wenger, his parents-in-law Barbara and Paul Wenger Jr., and numerous nieces and nephews. Be it resolved that the San Antonio Bar Association and the Texas Fourth Court of Appeals express their genuine regret on the death of Taylor Scott Boone and express their sincerest sympathy to his family and to his friends. Be it further resolved that this resolution be appended to the minutes of the San Antonio Bar Association and copies sent to the family. Be it further resolved that this resolution be placed in the permanent records and minutes of the Texas Fourth Court of Appeals, dated this 9th day of February, 2023.
It is so held that this resolution will be added to the court's minutes. And as the family can see, these proceedings are not only live streamed, but they're also recorded, a benefit to this court and to the San Antonio Bar Association to have the generosity continue from the Huffman Court Reporting Agency. And today we have Kathy Huffman here herself, who has volunteered her time gratis to the families and has for many years. With her is Patrick Knappich, who is our videographer, and both the transcription of these proceedings as well as the video will be received from the court and a copy shared with the family for your own benefit as well. I'd like at this point for all of us to give thanks by a round of applause for the services provided by Ms. Huffman. Very good. Thank you again, Kathy and Patrick, for your time and your continued generosity to the court. And the court will remain in recess for the rest of the day in honor of Taylor Scott Boone, and the family is invited to enjoy the courtroom for as long as desires. I see that y'all brought treats. Sorry, Virginia, but there are treats. And we will enjoy their company and their audience as the court now adjourns. So thank you very much.